There it is.
There he is. Happy Friday Fun Day. We're back and better than ever, right? For our latest episode of the Creative Real Estate Mastery Investing Mastery podcast. Damn it. See, I inverted those two words again.
Yeah, we're just in an industry.
Straight.
We're in an industry that you can't get around the real estate investing part. You know, it's like maybe we just rename it REI, since the people in this industry know. You know, they know what REI means. I don't know.
That's true. I even have our ultimate creative blueprint right here. It's literally right here in front of me. And it's got the same words. I mess it up every time. Every time. Oh, it's amazing. So how are you doing this fabulous Friday, Mr. Kaufman?
I'm good, man. I'm a little groggy this morning. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. I went ahead and went to the gym this morning and everything. And tell you what, though, they installed this sauna at the gym, and it's just magnificent. It is just, it's so great. I just can't get enough of it. I'm like, I do a 20-minute session in there, and I don't want to get out. I just.
Is it? I mean, there's a real sauna is a different hot. Is it like hot, like 120 degrees hot? What's the?
Well, it's weird. It's I sat in a buddy's when I was in Virginia a few weeks ago, and we sat in that thing. It was 185, 190, up to 190, and
you froze up. If you can hear,
are you there? Uh-oh. I don't know if you can hear me. My computer is screaming a little bit though here. Let me shut that down. I think it might be you, my man. I think it might be you. We're probably both looking at this thing, and we're probably telling each other right now, it's probably you. Let me jump out. I'll jump back in. Hold on 1 second here. Okay, I'm back here. It looks like Ken is rejoining now.
The whole thing just went haywire. I don't know what the hell just happened here, because I was fine on my side. So I thought it was you on your side. And then the whole thing just stops and reloads. Like, I don't know.
Well, we'll just see, because I was sitting here going, I think it's you. And I think probably you were saying the same thing. I think it's you. So we'll see. We'll see what actually shows up on the live stream.
Holy smokes. This is me talking shit about Skynet. I 100% believe that, by the way. Like, I don't
conspiracy.
I don't know. Like Skynet's the head of Hydra, and all these tentacles are just this different AI bullshit. It's really just all one AI. Hail Hydra, right? So.
Oh man. Well, you don't want to know what I've been doing, man. I am so into this AI right now. I got a personal assistant, and it's nuts.
No, I'm not saying it can't be useful. Don't mind me. Like, there are definitely things that are useful and can help. But I just
what I'm doing right now.
I like human interaction.
Yeah. What I'm doing right now, the setup would drive you mad. You would literally throw your computer out the window. You probably.
Yes, I'm getting ready to do that anyway.
Behind you probably have to board up, because it was pretty intense to set up. But anyway, I'm not gonna drone on about the sauna thing, but I will say, going back to our conversation, I don't know how far we got how far into it we got cut off. But when I was at my buddy's a few weeks ago, it was about 185, but it's kind of the old electric. I don't say old. There's a lot of really good electric heaters.
Yeah.
But this one, so that one sits at 185. This one sits at about 127, 129, something like in there. And it's a different kind. It feels like the heat is just as intense as the one as sitting in one of the old electric fired ones. It's because it's infrared and it's got these plates that heat up the plates and it just surrounds you like there's no escaping the heat. It's even got heated floors,
Oh, nice.
the floors and around your, at the lower levels, where in that other one it was like it was cold down there. You could feel it was cold. But so apples to apples, probably not. But this one is a more complete heat, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Well, let's get to the real estate game today. What's on our agenda for this episode, Mr. Kaufman?
Today we get to talk about uh, a really, really. I mean, this would be the, in my opinion, the cream of the crop. These are well, we're going to call this our pretty house playbook,
Yes,
the
pretty
pretty
house.
house playbook, and it's a real simple concept. There's nothing uh, there's nothing mind blowing about this, but it's something that is probably less common in our industry just because of the types of folks that we're marketing to and the types of houses that we're looking for. But we're going to talk about pretty houses. Now we're also going to apply this to, of course, uh, our preferred disposition strategy, which is going to be seller finance. And we got some pictures today that we kind of want to show you what we're talking about. But let's first define what a pretty house actually is.
Yes, what we consider a pretty house. Again, I just say for the record too that this is. I know we're going to talk about this later, but this is a very under marketed, underutilized little niche. There are a lot of pretty or close to pretty houses
Mhm.
in the creative financing space, right? Sub2, seller finance, like there is a lot there. There's more than you think there are, actually,
Sure.
if you know how to kind of market and pick through those. So that's why we want to talk about that today.
Yeah, I want to rehash too. We'll talk a little bit about this a little bit later, a little bit more. Um, but I have a feeling that a lot of people don't market to pretty houses because they just don't think that those people are motivated to sell,
Yep.
and I think it's a huge mistake. Simply because um, things happen to people all the time, everywhere, and it doesn't matter what the pay grade is. It doesn't matter the low class, middle class, upper class. It doesn't matter. Um, at some point, and I think I read this. You have to tell me if I'm wrong. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but you have to tell me if I'm wrong about this. But I think that I read somewhere in the 80 to 90% range of every homeowner in this country is two paychecks away from total disaster.
Yep.
And I want to say that that's correct. I'm not 100% certain. I haven't looked that up or
Pretty
recently.
close if it's not exact, I bet.
Yeah. So uh, again, just a niche little pocket to operate in. Um, and I would say that you don't have to be afraid to market to pretty houses. I mean, so many times we're looking at houses that are built in X year, pre Vietnam or post Vietnam era houses. We're looking for uh, houses that have value add opportunities there. Um, but there are plenty of pretty houses out there. So let's get into it. Let's define what a pretty house actually is.
Yes.
And I'll
What
bring
what are, what is our definition of pretty house?
yeah. So first, pretty house. You said it in the beginning. Pretty house is a property that needs little to no work. It's nearly, if not completely, move-in ready. Um, and I have a number that I'm willing to put into a pretty house as far as cash, as far as repairs or anything like that. I know you have a number as well. $10,000 to me, if I can get into a property without having to do anything more, or having it cost me any more than $10,000 to get into it before it's market ready, that would be kind of my definition of a pretty house.
Yep.
And what was yours?
Well, I like to stick to kind of more to the five. I mean, I could go 10. So it just depends. For me, it depends on the house. So if you're looking at a 2,000 square foot ranch house and you want to do some painting, and maybe there's a couple of rooms that need carpet, the bedrooms need carpet or something like that. I mean, you turn around and that's 6 grand,
Hmm.
or whatever that is too. So yes, very minimal though. That very minimal items to have move in ready. Maybe not even do that, and unless you need
Right.
to. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in fact, the very first house I ever bought, I would consider it a pretty house because that property, I bought it subject to. That's in the early stage of my sub two experience. But I bought it sub two, and I literally did just what you said. I didn't even paint it though. I cleaned it up. I put, I think I put floors in one of the bedrooms, and then of course the little side note, that particular bedroom had carpet in it prior to that, and being new to this thing, I didn't even realize that once you pull the carpet out, there's padding, there's carpet, there's tack strips. And so when I put the flooring in, I didn't raise the flooring high enough to actually there was a big gap around all of the trim. There was a gap there. I just left it like that. And that house, I got 3 offers on that house on the very first day, and no problem at all. It was a pretty good deal. But so let's take a look. I guess let me just share my screen
Well,
real quick.
yeah, let's bring. So we have an example of one our I guess most recent pretty house, but just along the pretty house line, we're also looking for houses in good school districts with good resale value, right? There can be pretty houses in a variety of different in different markets and all of that. But to really make it as pretty as possible, you want it in the best area as well. So, and this
Right.
was our last, the most recent pretty house right there. That's
Yeah.
talk about moving ready. That's a new construction pretty house right there, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you know let's share all of the details of why this qualifies as a pretty house. Number one, obviously, you can see this is a brand spanking new home. Um,
Oh,
you know, can you see it? Are you good?
yeah, yes, yes.
Okay.
You're scrolling through it. I can see. Yes.
But this house is also in a fantastic location. Although it was a little bit off the beaten path, we did have to hold on to it a little bit
Yeah.
longer, where we were able to actually get an owner finance buyer in here. But it is in a great location. It's in an awesome, awesome school district. Um, uh,
And it's
Taxes are
a new
real high.
subdivision.
Yeah,
Yeah. In a brand new subdivision, still with new builds going in. Yes.
yeah. New builds still going in. That probably had a little bit to do with why we had to
Yeah.
hold on to it
Why
for
we?
as long as we
Yep.
did.
Yep.
Um, but fantastic. We knew we'd find a buyer for it. It was just a matter of time. But this thing, we're doing really well on this house right now, and this is one of those houses that was it was kind of a low equity situation. I think we got into it at 90. What we say, 92% LTV on it.
Was it? We forced 8%
We
out
forced
back. Yeah.
8%.
Yep.
Okay, so by forcing, what you're saying is we bought it at, I don't even remember what the LTV was on the current. Oh, no, 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 no. What was the current the LTV when we bought it? We bought it on seller financing, by the way.
We bought it on seller financing for what he paid for it and closed 3 months earlier.
Right. I
So
think.
it was probably, yeah, we were probably about 90%. And then we took that other, we forced it, ultimately we forced it up 8 more%. In other words, the market for the new construction had some leeway in it. And
That's
because we were seller financing it, we created an 8% gap from our number to the seller finance
right.
number.
So this is what when we're talking about seller finance and this concept of us being able to kind of out of thin air, creating value out of thin air. Um, that's what when we sell or finance a property, that's we bring the value that we bring is that we have someone who is who is maybe in a situation where, like, maybe they don't have the greatest credit, maybe they don't have credit at all. We have run into that before. Um, maybe they've got maybe they're self-employed and they can't get a loan, that type of thing. That's actually that's nearly the exact scenario for
Yep.
our buyer on this property. So as you can see, really great neighborhood, fantastic location, good schools. And the big thing about this is this area is growing. This area, everything is coming out of the big city and it's moving out west here. And I actually don't even see any end in sight as far as that goes.
Yeah, no, there's still plenty of room to grow for sure.
So I'm going to stop sharing this. I think they get the idea.
But that's like the perfect example of the pretty house. Like that's the prettiest of the pretty houses, right? And obviously you won't always be able to get a new construction one like we did there. But we just want to share that because they're out there. Like that is a deal we have. We are cash flowing. It was like 475 a month on that right now, as it is on a contract for deed. So
Oh boy, I've got to try and get back to my notes here. Hold on one second.
did you everything went askew when you shared probably that.
Everything signed out, like everything. I can't believe I'm still on this call. I mean, this thing is just a mess. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Well, anyway, I'm not going to worry about notes. We're just going to go off the cuff here.
It's good. Yeah,
But
and we just want to make sure what we're talking about today too, just as a disclaimer, we're not talking about fix and flips. We're
right,
talking about buy and holds, and we're talking about our Sub2 Empire buy and hold method, as you mentioned in there too. So we acquired that pretty house in the example. We acquired it on seller financing. We then turn around and sold it on seller financing, specifically a contract for deed.
yeah,
So
yeah, and so let's talk about that for 1 second about the flips. God forbid you ever buy a property. Now you can buy flips using subject to financing. It's no problem. I mean,
yep.
but you've got to have the margins in there. So this is not. Do not go out and buy a property like this. Not like the one I just showed you, but do not go out and buy a property that needs a ton of repairs just because you can buy it subject to. Do not do that, or you can buy it on seller financing, uh, because if you're going to flip it, obviously, I mean, this just makes sense, right? Not sure I need to really explain this. If you don't have the cushion built um, in the form of equity, you're gonna lose your shirt on that deal. So so just want to refocus, make sure that everybody knows this is strictly for buy and hold.
Yeah, that's the focus for today. And
Yep.
and by the way, I just gonna say this again. I think we mention it regularly. We have a Sub2 profitability calculator that has exit strategies. So you need to know your exit strategies in there. It's free. Go to our website. You can download it. You once you download it, you get a video about how to use it. Like it's not completely intuitive. It does take a little understanding of what you're doing and what numbers you're putting in and why. And so all that is there. Go get the calculator because you cannot, especially in the market we're in now, right? In the market we're in now, you cannot just hope. You need to know your numbers. You need to know
Yeah.
your numbers.
Yeah. And there are different types of folks that want to, investors want to have different outcomes, and they have different goals. And so, obviously, for me, I live off the cash flow. I mean, I have to, like, it's what I do for a job. I have that portion of my career provides me with living, cash to actually live off of, to eat off of. But some folks out there are, they kind of look at an investment where the cash flow might not be so great, but they're relying on appreciation. And I mean, if you just think logically about this, it's appreciation is a gift. It's not a given. Appreciation, you can have a downturn in a market I mean, we've seen downturns in specific sections of our cities and counties around here. So Um, I guess what I'm trying to say is shoot for cash flow. Appreciation is a bonus. That's all that it is. So, um, and this is why this this is why this plays directly into this pretty house situation, because we're not, in most cases here we don't have a ton of equity, although you can. Um,
Yeah,
and what,
but we want to target the lower equity ones, like 10%,
right,
right? When we say lower equity too, let's qualify that too. Is
yeah,
like we want to stick to that no more than 90%
right.
loan to value. So
But what you're looking for, if you are relying on appreciation, there are must-haves. You've got to have a house that needs little to no work. It must be in a great location. It must be in a great school district. Um, and because those factors, or those factors are what contribute to future appreciation. So, um, if you're one of those guys that looks at appreciation on a property, those are just your must-haves. You have to have not one or two of those. You have to have all of those, all of those factors built into your decision on whether or not you're going to
yeah.
go out and buy a house,
And
even
although
a super pretty house.
yeah, and just one more thing about appreciation. And although it is true over the course of 20 to 25 to 30 years, the value of a property increases. That's true. But in the short term, 2 or 3 years, you may actually see at least a stagnation or maybe a little dip in values.
Hmm.
And of course, heaven forbid we don't see a crash like we did in 08, 09, but you can see values go down. Will they go back up? Certainly. But if you're an appreciation guy, then you just lost your cash flow for those dips, right? So put that property in a trust for your kids if you're looking at long-term appreciation growth, right? So just FYI there, be hedge the bets. Got to hedge the bets.
Yep. So that's kind of our avatar for pretty houses. Those are the, I think we checked all the boxes there. I hope I'm not missing anything.
Yep. Well, no, I think that's great. And of course, I guess since we're talking about acquiring it sub 2 or even straight seller financing, sub 2 specifically, we're trying to target lower interest rates. Like we want a 3%, a 4%, a 5% rate. As you say, I'm going to steal your thunder. As you say, anything under 6% is free money, right, brother? So
Just about, yeah.
so
Yeah,
that's
I
what
mean,
we're looking for. Yeah.
yeah. So that's another good thing to point out, because I actually had one sent to me. Oh, it was this week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. I had a guy. He calls me on the regular whenever he's got one of these low equity deals.
Yeah.
He knows about. In fact, I think he's the same guy that we bought this one from.
Yeah.
And I looked at it. I was like, oh, I mean, this thing's in great shape. Uh, the folks just kind of want to walk away. They're willing to sell or finance it, on and on and on. Actually, I'm sorry, not sell or finance it. Let me take it sub 2. That's all good, and the hard part's over with. Like, you've got somebody on board with taking over the mortgage. The problem was, on this one, it had an 8.64% interest rate,
Oh, geez.
and I was just like, instantly I was like, ooh. And I went out and I looked at, I like to compare rental comps. I like to use rental comps in the calculation for basically what people can afford in any particular area. Rental comps are a really good indicator of kind of the going, maybe not the going rate for your seller finance payment, that you're the terms that you construct in your deal for your buyer, but it's kind of a place marker. It's a little bit of a placeholder. I have an idea about where I need to be, because I personally, we've talked about this before too, but I would like to come in. I would like to make it so that the property that I'm selling to a buyer, I'd like to make their payment slightly lower than what the rents are in the area, because that's kind of the point why people buy houses. Like, other than the equity building benefit, but people kind of buy houses, some people anyway, because it's cheaper to buy a house than it is to rent. And so, um, honestly, I don't know where I was going with that, but But the interest rate is a really good is something that has to be factored into that as well. We got a decent interest rate on the one we just the one that, in the pictures that I just pulled up. Um, it's at 6%, right?
Six. We sell financing at six.
Yeah.
Yes, which
So
I
um,
would have liked to do a little bit better, but it worked out just fine.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's cash flowing, so it's a good deal. And
Yep.
again, the the massive benefit to that, we did not do one single thing. We paid for lawn care, I think,
Not one. Yes, yes. We paid for to have the lawn mowed.
for
Yep.
a little while. That was it. That's literally all we did to that
And
house.
and the utilities. That was the holding cost.
Yep.
Oh,
So
can I just say I just want to belabor that interest rate thing when on the Sub 2. I think we lose sight sometimes as investors about how magical a 3, 4, or 5% loan is from a payment perspective, right? You're assuming the responsibility for those payments at a set interest rate for originally 30 years, however many years are left on it, 27, 25, however many years are left on that loan, you are locked in at a 3, 4, or 5% interest rate. If you stopped and thought about that and say, okay, if I got a new loan on this, a new 30-year loan on this, and we're roughly 6% ish right now, at 6% compared to the 4% that I have over here, and look at how much more you'd be paying in interest over the term. Not necessarily that you're going to keep the property for 30 years, but just as a guide that you can see there, it's a magical thing to get those low interest rates. That's why we love those Sub 2 rates that have been locked in
yeah,
between 3 and 5%, or even six for that matter. But
yeah. Not to mention, you're thinking long term. I'm thinking immediate cash flow. You got another 2% between. You got wiggle room of. You've got another 2% to work with there. So you could, if you, depending upon what the banks are lending at, if they're lending at 6, we might lend at 7 or 8.
yep.
And so just having that low interest rate is absolutely key.
Yes, the arbitrage. It makes the cash flow number even more magical. Instead of $400 a month, it's $600 or $700 a month,
Right.
depending on how you arbitrage, right? The rate. In other words, your rate being more than the rate, your Sub 2 rate. So
Right. Okay, Doug. So I think we kind of covered the pretty house air quote avatar.
yes,
So let's talk about the avatar of the types of sellers that we're trying
so
to target here.
yep, yep. How are we going to get to pretty house?
Yeah. So obviously, if you all are out there doing your own marketing, there are a few levers that you can pull here, um, and the first one being obviously what we already talked about. This one gets me every time because I don't think people realize the opportunity that they have in these houses with 90% LTV, 80% LTV. I don't think they realize the opportunity in these pretty houses simply because when I'm, I don't want to pick on wholesalers, but when wholesalers are marketing, here's what they're looking for. They're looking for, 50% loan to value or 50% equity. Let me say
Yep,
that 50%
yep,
equity. Um, they're looking for, again, like houses that need to be, that are maybe 20 or 40 years old, that are obviously going to need a bunch of work. But when they're pulling their lists or when they're making their phone calls off of that list or sending out direct mail, they're not targeting these low equity deals, and it's a huge mistake. It's another whole it's another huge opportunity out there. It's just you got these folks over here that are in the same situations potentially as the people with the crappy houses. They're in
yep.
the same situations. So let's pull that lever first and stop omitting or stop leaving uh, the lower equity deals out of your marketing. Uh, so that would be number one. Massive opportunity there. So lever number one is equity. Lever number two would be obviously your um, the type of motivation that a seller is experiencing, or the type of issue that a seller is experiencing. Now, a lot of people, when they're setting up their lists, or they're pulling their lists, or they're making whatever they're doing, cold calls, whatever it is, it all comes off of a list from somewhere. So again, I'm going to reiterate kind of what I said at the top of this podcast. A lot of people will not go into areas that are, quote, um, higher class areas, or they're afraid to market in areas where there might be new builds, like this one, or just whatever the scenario is. They for some reason, a lot of these people that are marketing for these deals, they avoid the areas where it's like something in their mind says, oh, that's not going to be a good area, those people are doing really well.
Yeah, it's
And
not
it's
it's not worth my marketing dollars.
total misnomer. It is totally false. Like I said, like we talked about, people experience these problems. All people, everywhere.
All kinds of problems.
Yeah. So don't think that just because, if you're out marketing in a high crime area or something like that, which you can make money in those areas. I mean, that's
Yeah, you actually can.
that's a
We
much
choose not to, but you actually can. Yes.
much greater headache. I'll tell you that. Um, but why not start looking? I mean, look at the real problem. Look at the problems of people. You're a problem solver, so why not look into the problems, no matter where it's at? There's a solution for the wholesaler or the real estate investor. There's a solution for the seller. So you're a solutions provider. That's what you're doing. So don't take that off your plate. Don't be afraid of it. It's just numbers, as they say. Um,
And would you say, just out of curiosity too, would you say, I don't know if in generally speaking this is true or not too, but the pretty house seller, right? The owners of the pretty houses are generally pretty receptive to creative deals.
yeah, I guess it just depends.
It does depend too, but generally speaking, more so than maybe the ugly houses. Because sometimes those people let the situation get so bad they have to have a cash deal or something, right? They don't want to be, but it might not be, if one of the if one of the people in the household loses their job, or whatever the case may be, or there's unexpected medical issues, or there's a divorce, or there's whatever, right? People in affluent, great school districts have those same problems that people living in the war zones do.
Well, I
Right?
think
They're
those
just not being shot at necessarily every day, right? But we still have the same problems. Depending, as you mentioned, it doesn't matter your socioeconomic class.
those sellers, though, experience that same fear that the people who are marketing to those sellers feel, because they're thinking, "Wow, this is a big number. These are much larger numbers, and
Yep.
how am I going to handle this? Where?" So their motivation level can actually be a little bit higher in some cases, because they realize, man, I'm $350,000, $400,000 in debt. How am I going to pay this off? So that is definitely a trigger, and yet another reason why, say, here's one of the things that I used to do when I get into that situation is I'd see a property. Well, I still do this. I think we should all still do this. You see a property that's $450,000, and you're like, man, that's a lot to take on. If I'm going to take it subject to, that's a lot to take on. But if you just deleted a zero out of all of your calculations and kind of just a visual, where you have a visual, if you just deleted that zero, the numbers still pan out. The numbers are still,
Yep.
it's just a bigger number is all that it is. So
But in a worst case scenario for me as the investor, though, it is a bigger number, right? So yeah, you have to keep that in mind. But yes, you're
yeah, I'm
right.
just a little trick.
Yeah.
It's just like I used to have I had a coach early on, and he used to say, when we were talking, and I'm going off the beaten path here a little bit, but he used to say, when you get on a phone with a seller, Imagine that you have a bag, a duffel bag full of cash sitting at your feet, and you've got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of it somehow. And it was that kind of mentality. I think that it kind of coincides with what I'm saying. It's like you're just figuring out problems, and you have to imagine that there are no limits, that there's nothing that you can't do, despite the fear and the big scary numbers and stuff like that. So anyway, I thought I'd gonna bring that up. I've never forgotten that, and it actually that what he said to me actually it was what used to help me pick up the phone, because I'm an introvert. I don't like to be on the phone. But when he told me that, I was like, yeah. And so I would literally imagine that in my head, that I had a big duffel full of cash, and that's what would drive me to pick up the phone. I don't know. Weird psychology, I suppose, but it worked for sure.
It, whatever works, right? Whatever works.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, so we talked about our pretty houses. It's an underutilized niche for sure, an underrepresented niche. People don't, as you mentioned, people don't market to it, and they're out there. We just showed you our most recent example. We actually talked a lot about a second new construction one. It was a little farther out, to do kind of the same deal. So
Not as good of a deal though. It just
yeah,
wasn't.
it was a little. Yes, it didn't have as good of margins. Yes, we would
Yeah.
have needed to do some more negotiating for sure. But
Yeah. All right.
they're out there. We just want to say they're out there,
Yeah.
and you can focus on them, especially when the markets are a little uncertain and things are tightening up. Right, it's a good area. It's always good to kind of laser down sometimes and just like, okay, I'm just going to work on this and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, because spread, we talked about this a lot too. Spread yourself too thin, you don't do anything well.
Yep.
Right, so you gotta. This is kind of a very laser focused type of niche we wanted
Right.
to talk about today.
Right. Okay. What do we got up next here? Is there anything? I don't have any. I don't have my notes up here.
No, I think we did. So we talked about the our characteristics of the pretty house, right? We talked about the seller characteristics to market to, like, even people with pretty houses and good subdivisions and good neighborhoods and good school districts still have issues that you can market to. And the key is that low equity, right? That 80 to 90% equity that we're looking at, 85, 90, might be able to squeeze out a little more too if you're trying to, because you might still be able to get good cash flow. You just have to be willing to take a little less on the back end, like we did with the new construction, right? Our margin on the backside of that third payout when we get paid off isn't as great, right? I would have liked to have seen that more, but the monthly cash flow was good and the down payment was good,
Yep.
right? So that made us whole pretty much. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's the hedge, right? That's one of those things where you don't have to have you don't. It's not a must-have to have all three. All three, down payment, cash flow, and back end payoff. Uh, but it helps. It helps a lot, but it's not 100% necessary. And again, if I had my druthers, I'd take the cash flow any day of the week.
so, and with all that said, like, that's what we do. You just saw an example of our most recent pretty house one. Partner with us. You see the QR code there. Go to our website, and we are glad to take on new people. We like partnering with our students. We do it all the time.
That's right. All right. Anything else? Anything you want to end this with?
I don't think so. Just have a great weekend, and we'll be back next Friday.
Okie doke. Guys, have a good one. We'll catch you next week. Take care.